I am the last soul. All humans have been judged and sent to heaven or hell. There are none left, as they all have died out by now. I am standing in front of Luminous and Lucifer as they are trying to decide where I belong. We're in a place between earth, heaven and hell. The ground is divided in 3 colors, white, black and grey. I'm standing where the ground is grey, Lucifer is on the black part and Luminous is on the white. We're surrounded by twilight and there are some clouds scattered around, moving slowly across the endless sky. It's beautiful, really. Think of the prettiest sunset you have ever seen and you're probably close to what we see. As we're standing there, I'm not nervous. I just look at them and I feel calm even though I should feel nervous or even anxious. Their decision won't matter to me though. I don't really care anymore. You might wonder, what do they look like? They both look like regular human males, even though they both have some feminine attributes. They both seem to have soft skin, and contrary to popular belief, Lucifer actually has kind eyes, just like Luminous, even if they do look tormented. I can even sense a bit of sadness in them, as if all the souls he has collected was something he didn't really want to do. In Luminous's eyes, I see mostly kindness, but with a hint of darkness. Lucifer is dressed in a black suit, Luminous in a white. I'm wearing light grey sweatpants and a light grey hoodie. From what I can tell, this soul's neutral, Lucifer says. I agree, but I'm having trouble reading this one. This soul is not as easy to read as the others have been, Luminous replies. So how will we decide where it should go? Lucifer asks with a perplexed look on his face. We'll ask him 3 questions each, and the answers given shall determine where his soul belongs. Sounds fair, Lucifer says with a grin on his face. I'll go first. If someone got hurt, would you laugh? I don't enjoy suffering, be it mine or someone else's, I replied. But sometimes you get what you deserve. What was your religion during your life? Luminous asked, as he looked at me with a judgmental gaze. Oh, I don't really believe in religion. I've always treated everyone and everything with respect, regardless of their heritage and legacy. One religious man has murdered another man of a different religion. Would you send him to heaven or hell? I believe that as you die, you gain a higher level of consciousness. On Earth, you are limited by the physics of the brain, even though you have a soul. Therefore, I believe that when people see what they have done from a different perspective, they will regret what bad things they did during their lifetime. And as I also believe in forgiveness, I'd let them have peace. They simply didn't know better. What is the meaning of life according to you? During my time on Earth, I have learned that the meaning of life is love. Compassion, helpfulness, kindness. It all comes from a place of love. Even hate comes from love. Would you steal candy from a baby? What? No. But I can see why some people might. I'm not justifying their actions, but can put myself in their shoes. See it from their perspective, if you will. They both pondered my answers. He is still hard to read, Lucifer said, clearly agitated. What do you think? Well, the answers are vague, and I personally don't like the comment he made about religion, and that he doesn't believe in it. Okay, yeah, I see where you're coming from. But to his defense, he's into forgiveness. You like that shit? That is true, but he kind of condoned stealing candy from a baby, even if that was a somewhat odd question. And please don't use that language when I'm around. You know I don't like it. Well, it's not like I'd end up in hell for it. Oh wait, I already live there. Guys, please stop arguing. I know time means nothing here, but we all need to move on. Also, you have only asked me 5 questions. Luminous, I know you have one more question for me. Ah yes, that's true, I forgot. Being almost 14 billion years does take a toll on one's mind. I bet it does, I replied with a smile. I bet it does. Well then, my last question. Have you killed anyone? I thought about my answer for a while before I gave them my reply. Every human and every animal, every living creature across time and space, everything that has ever lived and everything that ever will. I always have and I always will be there when it's their time to die. That's horrible, Luminous exclaimed, anger clearly visible in his eyes. Are you serious? You're fucking awesome, Lucifer replied. Can I get your autograph? He kept laughing as Luminous stared at him and said, Just like you to laugh at something like this. Well, suit yourself, Father, you made me like this. Lucifer wiped the tears of laughter off his face and he started to calm down, unlike Luminous, who seemed like he would explode from anger. You both don't seem to understand, I told him. I'm not what you think I am, and you can't judge me. I am neutral, and I work beyond time. I raised my arms and held my palms toward the sky. The sky filled with dark clouds, and there was lightning and thunder as my light grey clothes turned into a dark grey, almost black robe. In one hand, my scythe appeared, and in the other, an hourglass. I am what awaits everyone. As I said, I treat everyone the same, regardless of heritage and legacy. I have come for you both, as it's time to end this cycle. All souls that you have collected, and the souls you both possess, shall be freed and live again in a new era. But for now, it's time to die. You can't escape, for I am death. I watch a lot of videos on the internet of so-called hauntings. Don't get me wrong, I do believe in ghosts, but I'm also skeptical and won't believe everything I see. There are a lot of things you can explain away, like doors or windows closing because of a breeze, camera glitches and video compression issues that make it look like different shapes are moving. Heck, some people even use special effects and CGI to fake ghost videos. I have a friend who's also interested in the supernatural, like ghosts, demons, and even cryptids, so we decided to find a so-called haunted house and try to ghost hunt for ourselves. So, one Friday evening we packed up some stuff and headed out to the haunted house. We brought flashlights, a video camera each, with good microphones, and we installed apps on our phones that supposedly can work as a spirit box. The drive took about an hour, and the last couple of miles the road was a gravelled one, with no street lights in sight. The only lights were the headlights of my car. We arrived at the house at dusk, which seemed like the right time. Bright enough to see what we were doing, but almost dark enough for us to begin. The house itself was built out of wood, 2 stories tall, and not much paint left on the walls. There were trees surrounding it, and the grass had grown tall. The full moon, coming up on the horizon, gave the whole place an eerie atmosphere, perfect for what we were about to do. We unpacked the car, and I locked it as we made our way to the front door of the house. The footpath was also made of gravel, though it was steadily losing the battle against the grass, which was inching its way further and further to engulf and suffocate what was left of the footpath. The door stood ajar, so it didn't quite feel like trespassing. No one lived here anymore anyway. The door creaked as we opened it, and we were met by a damp, musky smell. The house had definitely not been used for a long time, probably a decade or more. As we entered, we could see the wallpaper barely hanging onto the walls, and the floor made noises with every step we took. To the right, there was what seemed to have been the living room. Straight ahead we could see what was left of the kitchen. To the left we could see another room, but also the stairs to the second floor. "Dibs on the bottom floor," my friend said. "Fine, chicken, I'll go upstairs then," I replied as I smirked. As I walked up the stairs, the steps creaked with every footstep. When I got up, I noticed 3 rooms. The first one was right in front of the staircase. Looks like it was the master bedroom. Inside, there was a king-size bed. On each side, there were bedside tables with half-burned candles. Even here, the wallpaper struggled to do its job, barely hanging onto the wall. The humidity had made it all bubbly on large parts of the wall and letting go completely on other parts. I proceeded walking along the landing, and the next room was a smaller one. It looked like a kid's room. Some toys were left behind, it seems. A couple of plushies, and if I'm not mistaken, I saw a Furby as well. You know those creepy talking toys they advertised a couple of decades ago? "You better stay quiet," I said quietly. "You finding anything?" my friend yelled from downstairs. "Nothing much yet," I replied. "You?" "Nah, nothing particularly interesting. I'll set up my camera in the living room, but close to the kitchen. See if I can catch something." "Okay, you do that. I've got 1 room left to check out, then I'll set up my camera as well." It was completely dark outside as I made my way to the last room. That's probably why it was so dark in there, I thought. The last room looked like a perfect room for a teenager, except for the current state it was in at the time, of course. The room was better preserved than the other rooms I'd seen, though. The wallpaper seemed intact, and as I looked around using my flashlight, I saw there was not much on the floor except for some leaves. To the right, the bed stood in the corner, and next to it, a desk. There were some older posters on the wall, with artists and band from an era passed by. Even posters of a couple of actors and some anime shows. If I had to guess, this was a teenage boy's room when they were still living here. Seemed they'd left in somewhat of a hurry, though, since the computer was still there. Being a bit of a computer nerd, I slowly walked closer to it and pressed the power button. Nothing happened. "Yeah, I didn't think so," I mumbled. "Worth a try, though." I set up my camera so it was facing the bed, and I sat down in the chair at the desk. The room gave off a bit of an eerie vibe, but I figured it was because it was dark and that I didn't live here. I checked the time, and it was getting close to midnight. I opened the Spirit Box app and started to ask some questions. "Is anyone there?" No reply. I waited a few seconds more. "If anyone is here, please give me a sign." Still nothing. Either the app is fake or there's nothing here, I thought. My phone's battery was at 97%, so still a lot of power in it. 96%. Midnight. I felt a slow breeze on my left side, and I thought I heard a faint whisper. I shrugged it off as my brain doing tricks on me. I did get chills on my right side though, but didn't think much of it at the time. 95%. The room felt a bit colder now than when I first walked in here. I played some Yahtzee to pass the time. A couple of minutes later, I know I heard a floorboard creak. I started the app once again and asked, "Is anyone here?"
"Boy,"
the app replied. I could barely believe my eyes and ears. Good thing my video camera was still recording, so I could get the whole thing on tape. Okay, memory card, but you know what I mean. It's still running, right? Yes it is. Good, I thought to myself. What's your name? I asked, now a bit nervous, mixed with a bit of excitement.
Adrian.
The app replied. I was getting a bit giddy at this point. Another breeze on my left side, the side that was facing the bed. Did you live here? I asked.
Yes.
By then, I definitely felt the temperature in the room had dropped with a few degrees. It felt more like a chilling autumn evening than a warm summer one. The replies were short, but I figured that that's normal, because it's what I'd seen on YouTube. How old are you? I asked. No reply. It felt like the atmosphere in the room changed slightly to a heavier, almost oppressing one. I didn't get a reply, so I asked again, How old are you? The light on the video camera blinked steadily, like a metronome dancing to its own beat. If I didn't know better, I could swear the room got darker. Since it was nighttime and dark outside, I thought it was just my imagination.
14.
I jumped as the app replied. The room was so quiet that I felt like I was in a sound-insulated cell. I didn't hear my friend downstairs either, so I shouted to him, You find anything yet? No reply. I walked out of the room and onto the landing and asked again, Did you find anything? Aside from the wind outside making the tree branches scratch against the walls, no. All right, I replied. I might have some evidence, but I'll show you later. Sounds great, he replied. I went back into the room and sat down on the chair again. I checked the battery on my phone. 74%. Wow, that was fast, I thought. I wasn't surprised though, since that seemed to be a common thing with ghosts. Pretty much any ghost hunting video on the tube had batteries running out faster than normal when they allegedly encountered ghosts and demons. This seemed to be the real deal, so I guess the battery wouldn't last for much longer. I should have an hour or so left, I thought to myself. Was this your room? I asked. Another floorboard creaked, and I heard the bed creak as well, like someone sat down on it. 33%. I felt another chill on my right side as my left side got colder. It was almost like someone touched my arm. By that point, I was convinced that there was actually a presence there.
Yes,
the app replied. Or, I guess I should say Adrian replied. My video camera bleeped 3 times and then turned off. I looked at it as I asked, Did you die here? I heard a faint whisper, but not from the app this time.
Yes,
Adrian replied through the app. I'm sorry to hear that, I answered, following up with, Where did you die?
In this room.
He answered. What happened? I stared intensely on my phone screen.
Murder.
It said. You got murdered in here?
No. Murdered family.
My excitement was gone, entirely replaced with anxiety and fear. 12%.
No. Murdered family.
The screen said. The room went from cold to freezing, and I felt an intense burn on my arm. The next thing I heard was very faint, but I'm pretty sure Adrian said, Do we want to die in here too? And that was not through the app. I stuttered. No thanks. The app let out mechanical laughter.
Ha, 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 ha.
And I saw the phone quickly reach 1% battery. I heard a faint whisper. Get out. You didn't need to tell me again. As I dashed from the chair toward the door, I grabbed my camera by the tripod and ran out the bedroom door. The door slammed behind me, and somehow the light started to flicker in the hall. "We need to go. Come on," I yelled to my friend. He was right behind me since he had heard me run across the landing and down the stairs. We ran to the car and pretty much threw our equipment in the trunk. Thank goodness I didn't drop my remote so I could unlock the car from a distance. I floored it out of there and only slowed down in the bends until we reached the main road. "I am not going back there ever again," I said. I told my friend what had happened, and he didn't believe me at first, but since he saw my reaction and heard a few of the things I described, like the door slamming, he started to believe. Also, my pale face and the terror in my eyes probably helped. The next day, we looked through the footage and did some research on the property. We did hear a voice in the video I recorded, and the app in my phone had saved a transcript of what I had caught. Regarding the house, apparently a family with a teenage son did live there. One night he had gotten a knife from the kitchen, silently walked through the house and cut the throat of his parents, his younger sister, and finally himself. No one knows why, but they did find all of them in their respective beds. The creepiest thing, which I really had to dig around a lot to find out, was that when they found Adrian, his eyes were wide open and he had an eerie grin on his face. The other day I got called up by Kara, an old friend of mine. She asked if I had met or heard anything from Huey recently. I said that I hadn't heard from him in months, even though we were close friends. She told me she'd met him about a week ago, when she was out on the town. They dated for a while about 10 years ago when we were in our early 20s, but they broke up when she moved abroad. Well, I guess it was really Kara who broke up with Huey since he didn't want her to move and he didn't want to come with her. I think it was a fair breakup considering the situation. Huey didn't seem to care a lot in the beginning, so he went out and partied a lot. Drank, smoked some weed, and hooked up with different women when he had the chance. I know he used it as a coping mechanism, but it wasn't good for him. I told him so, and after a while he stopped pretty much altogether with both alcohol and drugs. I could still tell he was upset about Kara, though. She apparently got back to the country 10 days ago and stayed at her parents' while looking for a place of her own. As she told me, she bumped into Huey about a week ago. They spent several hours talking and walking along the beach. The leaves on the trees had just started changing color from green to the reds and yellows of autumn. They stopped by a coffee place on the beach, and Kara offered to pay for a latte, Huey's favorite coffee drink. He politely declined, but thanked her for the offer. As the sun started to set, they walked back into town. Huey said that he had to go, to which Kara said that she really enjoyed seeing him and asked if they could meet up again. He replied that it will be a while before they meet next time because he had to go somewhere. He wouldn't tell her where he'd go, but assured her that they will see each other again. He took her hands, leaned in, and kissed her softly on the cheek. "I've missed you," he said. "I'll see you later," she replied with a smile as she started to walk away, leaving him once again on the corner. She turned back only to see him gone. Today I got a phone call from Huey's parents. They apologized for not calling sooner, but they had been busy dealing with Huey's funeral. Turns out he was hit by a truck 2 weeks ago. At first I didn't believe what I heard, but I thanked them for calling and I gave my condolences. After we hung up, I had to check for myself, and it was really true. I found his obituary online. It really happened 2 weeks ago. I'm sitting with my phone in my hand, Kara's number on the display, ready to call, wondering how to tell her that Huey is dead. I went to my brother's the other day. I was invited to a barbecue, the last one of the year. Let me tell you, when he's cooking food, you don't say no. He's a great chef, and his meat tastes fantastic every time. And the sauce? Nectar from the heavens. Anyway, so I went over there, and his wife, Nama, already had the beer chilled to perfection. Very nice woman. Her name is maybe a bit unusual to you, but her parents came here from Israel. My brother and his wife met almost 20 years ago now. My brother, whose name is Hypnos for some reason, asked if I wanted to stay over for the night since I live a few hours away and their house is pretty much a mansion. I said sure, I'd love to stay. They have a spare bedroom, so why not, you know? They have 2 kids as well, Persephone and Leviathan. They are 3 and 5 years old respectively. I never thought about this before, but my whole family has unusual names. My parents, my brother, his wife and his kids. My name's Calvin. I'll have to look up what our names mean someday, but I digress. On with the story. So, as I sat in the lawn chair by the table, and as my brother put the meat on the barbecue, little Persephone came by and stood next to me. She stared at me for a while. She leaned in closer, and with a cute little voice she asked if she could borrow my phone to watch some kids show on the internet. I'm not a complete ass, so of course I lent her my phone. She walked away from me to the other side of the garden. My brother and his family do have a very nice garden. Not huge, but still roomy. They have a kiddie pool and a larger pool, and both the kids have already learned to swim. That's impressive. I said to my brother that his house is really neat looking, and Nama really takes care of all their plants. I don't get it, but somehow everything grows exceptionally well there, even compared to the neighbors' plants and trees. And several of them are gardeners and landscape architects. He thanked me as he chuckled a bit. We made a toast to family and downed a beer each while staring like crazy idiots into each other's eyes, like only brothers can. As we had finished our beers, I heard some knocking, kinda like a small rock on hard glass surface. I didn't think much about it though, as I was distracted by the food, which smelled great. We talked a bit more about work and family and other things while Nama set the table. It looked like they expected royal guests for dinner. Everything she does seemed to turn out fantastic, and it's not just me saying that. My brother and her parents have also praised her interior design and pretty much everything else she does. She really made their house a home, and you always feel welcome there. I thought I heard some water splash, but Leviathan had sneaked up on me and screamed in my left ear, nearly giving me a heart attack, so I'm not sure. The ringing in my ear easily overpowered what I thought was a splash anyway, so... Then Leviathan started running around the dinner table while laughing like a maniac. My brother put the meat on the table, right next to the potatoes and veggies Nama already put there. Nama told the kids that dinner was ready. Just as my brother pulled out his chair to sit down, Leviathan sucker punched him in the nuts. My brother folded like a lawn chair as I laughed my ass off, like siblings do. Leviathan screamed victory, and before he sat down, he whispered in my ear,
I'm gonna kill you in your sleep tonight.
It might sound like the family has a lot of issues, but the kids are doing great in school and kindergarten. Nama works as a very successful diplomat, and my brother is the owner and principal of a school for troubled kids. They have nothing but love for everyone. As Persephone came to the table, she held her arms behind her back. I asked what she had there, and she smiled as she gave me my phone back. The screen was shattered, and I could see the phone was half filled with water. Good thing I'd planned to get a new phone anyway. My brother told her she'd get no candy for 2 weeks. She doesn't understand how money works yet, so candy is her currency. For a kid, 2 weeks without candy is a long time. You have to think about perspective, you know? Time's different for a youngling compared to an adult. We started eating, and again, my brother's a great chef. I asked him how we get the meat to be so tender and juicy. He told me that he usually beats the meat before he marinates it in the sauce he makes. You know what? I'm probably boring you. Let's get to the weird part of the evening. So after dinner, we cleaned up, yada yada yada, and later we went to bed. I heard this scratching sound at my door, so I went to check it out. It was dark both in my room and the hallway connecting with the rest of the house. I opened the door wide and stepped out of my room, but I couldn't really see anything. I thought I heard pad or small feet though, but I did drink a few beers that night, so I figured it was just me hearing things. I went back into my room and lied down on the bed again. I heard the giggle of a small boy. I jumped out of the bed and turned the window light on. "Levi, is that you?" I asked. I saw him standing by the door with large kitchen knives in his hands, with his back turned towards me. He turned his head so I could see the side of his face. The grin was like something from a demon, and his eyes glowed bright orange with a sinister intent. I didn't know what to do, because I was very confused. He turned his head to face the door again, fell backward, still holding the knives. He stood up on all fours, so he looked like an upside-down crab, with its legs in the wrong direction. Think about the movie The Exorcist and you know what I mean. His head was upside down too, since his back was facing the floor. Then he turned his frickin' head so it was upright, and I heard the cracking of bones in his neck. He started running towards me, still on all fours, so I punted the kid. He probably flew 10 feet. I quickly grabbed my clothes and bolted out of there, and all the way to my car I could hear Leviathan laughing as he ran after me. I'm guessing still on all fours, since I also heard the clattering of metal against the marble floor. Let's just say I put the metal to the floor as I sped away from there. I will not be staying the night at my brother's house for some time. Thank you for listening to my story. By the way, might as well look up Leviathan's name. Oh, that explains so much. It's in the middle of the night. My daughter's crying, so she woke me up. I bet she's hungry. It hasn't been the same since her mother left. Now we will face the world together, Dolores and I. It was her mother's idea to give her that name, and it seems fitting for our daughter. She's got dark baby hair on her head and the cutest smile, even though she has no teeth yet. She has hazel-colored eyes. Her mother left just after Dolores was born. I've never understood why, and I'm not sure I ever will. Her mother left about a month ago. I still love her. She's the most beautiful woman I've ever met, and she's a wonderful person. You may not think so, since she left us, but I still think she is. Last time I saw her, she smiled a warm smile, and her eyes glowed with happiness as she held our daughter in her arms. She was always there for me and gave me advice and support when I needed it, and I tried to reciprocate whenever she needed mine. We were a great couple, and happy that our little angel was born. It's 1 in the morning as I'm making my way downstairs, the steps creaking somewhat with every footstep. I'm in the kitchen now and I can still hear my daughter crying. I squint my eyes, being somewhat blinded by the fridge light. The house is dark except for the faint light coming from the streetlights outside, shining in through the blinds. It's almost like the sun shining through the trees in the forest in the early autumn mornings, except the light stretching in through the windows here is cold and sterile. I grab a bottle of baby formula and close the door. The microwave gives off a bored humming as I'm heating the formula. The microwave stops. I test the temperature of the formula on my arm. The temperature seems to be about right. At least it's not too hot for my little angel. Dolores is still crying. "It's okay, sweetie. Daddy's on his way with your food. I say softly into the night as I'm once again making my way upstairs. I don't think she understands what I'm saying yet, but I'm hoping she understands the tone of my voice, trying to calm her down. I stump my toe on a vodka bottle lying on the floor. I'll pick it up in the morning, I think to myself, as I'm slowly walking towards Dolores' crib. I pull away the small blanket and reach to pick her up. She's not there. I call for her. Dolores? I can still hear her crying. Where is she? I run in and out of the rooms upstairs trying to find her. I even look in the bathroom. I quickly run downstairs and look through the kitchen, the hall, the downstairs bathroom. I can't find her. I run into the living room and stumble on something and fall over, crashing into the floor with a loud thud. The crying stops. I don't want to look back, afraid of what I might find, but if I harmed my daughter, I have to get her to the hospital. Papers. A stack of papers. I fell over because of a stack of papers. I chuckled and smiled as I started to pick the papers up, stacking them back into the pile. I still feel a bit hazy as it's in the middle of the night. As I put the last paper on top of the pile, something catches my eye. The paper is a news article. It's about a traffic collision. Woman died in car crash as drunk drivers speed away from site. I read on. Wife of local businessman dies in horrible car accident as drunk driver sped away. I start to hear Dolores crying again. With her in the car was her newborn daughter, who sadly didn't make it. No, this can't be true. No way. Dolores is screaming again. As I'm finally becoming completely awake, it's all coming back to me. It is true. They did die in a car crash. I've suppressed it. But I can hear Dolores crying. It's getting louder. I'm starting to cry, realizing they're both gone. The crying won't stop. It's getting louder still. Oh God, please make it stop. I'm sitting at my desk as I wake up. I look at the clock on the wall. It's 3 a.m. I don't know how I got here. Last thing I remember, I was going to bed and falling asleep. I look around the room as I'm rubbing my eyes. I see my fiancée sleeping in our bed, almost hugging the white bedsheet. I'm thinking I should get into bed with her, but as I'm standing up, I accidentally bump into the desk. My computer screen turns on, and I find a document. I'm pretty sure I didn't write it, so I look closer. It's a letter. I start to read it. Dear Kane, I'm sorry for borrowing your body, but I have to get this message to Freya. Please make sure she'll get it. Dear Freya, it's been 3 years now. 3 years since I passed away in your arms that fateful summer evening. At least I don't have to feel the pain of the gunshot anymore, or at least mostly not. I still wonder what we could have become together, probably parents by now. I remember our date, and I wanted to thank you for giving me a chance. I'm sorry I couldn't reach you sooner, but time works differently where I am. I can see both what has been and what will come, and I can see that you will have a great future with Kane. You will live happily together, and he will always be by your side. You found a good man. The downside of being where I am is that sometimes I have to relive the bad parts from my life, like the searing pain from the bullet in my chest. However, I choose to focus on the good parts as much as I can. Your smile in the summer sunset, our kiss on the Ferris wheel, the things we used to get up to before we even went on the date. I've missed you eternally since I died. Please don't be sad that I'm gone, or live with the regret I feel you have from time to time. There was nothing you could do without getting hurt yourself. I'm finally going to a better place, now that I've left you this last message. Please know that I am now at peace, and that I have moved on from this earth. Yours truly, Carmine. I'm startled by the letter. I didn't think it was possible. I mean, I don't even believe in ghosts. Yet, here we seem to be. I remember Freya talking about a date that went wrong, but I never thought this is what happened. I guess that's why she hasn't wanted to talk about it. I print the document and save it for now, so she can do what she wishes with it. Carmine seemed to have been a genuinely good man, and I promise you, Carmine, I will take care of Freya for you. I will stand by her no matter what, till death do us part. Hey everyone, I want to thank you all for watching, and I especially want to thank those of you who have subscribed this last week. It's really fun to see the subscriber count increase, so I appreciate it. So Halloweek is over, and I'm gonna take a little break since I've got a full-time job outside of YouTube, and I've planned poorly, so I've written these short stories, most of them after work, so yeah, I'm gonna need a little break. But yeah, I'll be back, and it won't be 9 months or 6 months or whatever until next time. So yeah, thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.